We're chatting with Deep Kalra, the founder and CEO of the company. Deep, thanks for joining us on the show. It's been a crazy listing. What a journey this has been for Make My Trip.
Yeah, indeed. I think it is. It's fair to say it's a fairy tale listing for us right now. We're trying not to get carried away with this dream. But, you know, more exciting than, I guess, the pop, as they call it out here, which you do expect if an issue is heavily oversubscribed, as we were. I think it's just a great feeling. I think it's a logical milestone at the right point of time, and I think it'll also re-energize our team now to power on forward from this.
Take us through the response that you've seen, especially from institutional investors. You've obviously priced the offering at the upper end of the price band at $14 a share. Many analysts believe that you were being a little aggressive there as well. This is before, of course, you listed. What's the kind of response that you've seen?
Yeah, so I think now that's not an issue, clearly. So, no, we were pretty clear that the band was the right one. I think the bankers proposed the right band. We said we'll look at response, and we were pretty hopeful that we'll get good response. I'd be, you know, dishonest if I told you that we, you know, did kind of estimated that we won't do that well. We were pretty clear that we'll come out, you know, on top. But we've been overwhelmed. I think the investors across the country have really liked our story. They like the India story. That, of course, is, you know, well told and well sold by now. Travel and tourism is also doing very well. The internet is at what I consider the threshold of takeoff, with the broadband wireless auctions being done, with 3G auctions being done. All that put together with a company which I think they felt was well positioned to take advantage of the challenge, take advantage of the opportunities, to take on the challenges. They're very, I think some of the investors out here are really sharp. They really throw some intelligent questions at you, and I think they liked the way the reactions were. They saw a good team. You know, they met a couple of us. They saw the rest of us there. I think the fact that we also have dominant market leadership, you know, close to 50%, really gave them the confidence that they're backing a winner out here in a market which is booming. So I think all of this added up and helped us get an overwhelming response.
But you did speak about the fact that, you know, they like the India story as well. The economy is growing very rapidly, which is possibly why you're now going to be trading at a significant premium to your peers here in the US, even though you may be at a discount to some of the Chinese, you know, competitors of yours. What is the sense that you've got? What kind of an appetite do you think do investors have for the India growth story?
I think after the roadshow, I can tell you that I think the appetite is more than we expect and more than we, you know, imagine in India. But I don't think it's India alone. I think they're looking at, so what in India is booming. The telco story is really well told. ITS has had, I think, perhaps, you know, a great run, but now they're seeing probably some kind of slowing down, competitive pressures from around the world. But consumer businesses that are inherently scalable, I think, is what people want to see. And the internet, obviously, you know, is very scalable as a business model. But consumer businesses, because of the consuming class, which is booming, on the other side, you look at scalability. So I think if you put these two together and, you know, add to it a solid management team, I think you have a winning combination. That's the kind of story I got the sense that investors would like to hear.
For a company that's been in the business for about 10 years and about 48% of the market share, you haven't really made profits, so to say. What is your outlook on profitability? When do you think you'll really start seeing, you know, turning black?
Yeah, I think to put it in fair perspective, as we've shared in our prospectus, we actually had an operating profit last year of $0.8 million, which is, you know, about 3.5 crores. And, you know, this is excluding the non-cash expenses, which is a charge that you take really for stock compensation. Our first quarter, which we've reported again, has been actually very profitable. It's been a great quarter for us. We made $1.3 million in the first quarter. So I think we are well on track, actually. We've, you know, more than turned the corner. The last year was just, you know, reasonably profitable. If you look at the first quarter, in terms of operating margins, we're talking about 10%. So I think we're, you know, clearly on our way now to bigger profits.
Right. You've said that you use part of your IPO proceeds to look at strategic acquisitions. Are these acquisition opportunities in India? Would you look at some acquisitions in the Asian market as well? And if they're in India, obviously, you know, you have your strong leadership, but the number 2, number 3, number 4, it's pretty fragmented out there. Could you take us through details of what are the opportunities that you're looking at?
You know, it's hard to probably spell out the details, and also most of our work here has been preliminary. Overall, the way we approach the whole space of M&A is actually from, you know, the 1 plus 1 has got to be more than accretive. We've got to look at 1 plus 1 actually being 3 or more. It's not easy. A lot of acquisitions don't work out. So I think we're treading on this tentatively, but we are very clear on finding the sweet spot in terms of what is strategic yet accretive to our revenues right now. We are agnostic actually whether it's India or beyond. We're following our customers. Our customers are traveling both within India and outside India. Clearly the acquisitions will be in the high margin product space. Holidays and packages is the kind of areas we'll probably look at more keenly.
Right. Back to the IPO, Deep, obviously some of your founder, investors like SAFE Partners, you yourself have sold some of your shares, great returns.
Yeah, I think SAFE has clearly made a good bet, and I'm very, very happy to see our earlier private equity, venture capital investors, all of them enjoy the returns. It's fair to say that they've actually, most of them have shared a very small percentage of what they hold. Just like with senior management as well as other employees, most people, at least senior management, has actually shared a fraction of what they hold. So yeah, I think everyone's very much totally invested in the company and waiting for much bigger things to happen.
All right, just one last question before we wrap up.
Sure.
You've obviously, 10 years back when you started off with this venture, did you think that you'd actually turn it into what today it's a $700 million baby, maybe in a few months or a year down the line it could become a $1 billion baby? Did you think you'd take it this far?
I think it's fair to say that I did dream big. This was like for every entrepreneur. I think the ultimate milestone is to IPO, and to IPO well, and to deliver returns both to all stakeholders, shareholders, employees, everyone. So the fact that it will happen now, the last couple of months have been quite a blur. It is a fairy tale ending for us. So I mean, it was there at the back of the mind, but very frankly, I don't think it was ever like this is the immediate goal, or we were working towards this. We've typically worked towards building a solid business, defensible business, a good team, and I think these are milestones which come along the way. Needless to say, this is a big one, and it's recharging us for the future.